Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Is It Wrong Podcast with your host, me, Rey Parra. Make sure to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe and share. Add all your comments. We love the comments. Every time we have a special guest, there's different comments. We have a conversation. We have a great time, guys. Remember to get our merch. We got some cool t-shirts, some cool mechanic shirts, some hats, some buttons, some mugs, all kinds of real good stuff. But just stay tuned for today's guest. It's going to be a great one.
Como yo darte de mi amor, darte de mi ser y de mi lealtad. Yo sé que tu presencia nunca me abandonó. Que tu palabra...
Hey, guys, welcome back. Another exciting episode of Is It Wrong Podcast. Today, I'm super excited because I have a long time friend of mine. We've been buddies over 40 years. Just a great guy, man. And he's a Latin artist. He's a friend of mine. He's a pastor. Guys, please welcome Danny Martinez. How you doing, brother?
So good to be with you, Ray. How are you?
Good, man. It's a pleasure to have you on here finally.
Has it been 40 years, really?
Yeah, bro.
Since the 80s?
80, 90, 2000, 2020, 30 some years.
Well, no, I think it's closer to 40, but, are we really that old? Yeah.
No,
Well,
I'm not.
I
You are.
remember,
I'm
I
not.
remember the first time I met you.
Yeah.
It was their warehouse church in Aurora,
Oh, yeah. Pastor
and your
Lee.
band Sacred Warrior was playing, and I remember you blowing me away. First of all, I went all the way to the front because I wanted to see the musicians. I wanted to see you. I wanted to see who this great voice was,
Oh, boy.
and so I started screaming with you. You like those high G, shrieks, or
Oh,
actually
yeah.
you don't do shrieks. You actually do the proper note. And I started doing that with you, and you said to me, "Are you Mexican?" And I go, "No, I'm Guatemalan." And you're like, "Same thing."
You remember that?
Well,
Oh,
that's
my
when I met
gosh,
you.
bro.
That's when I met you.
Wow.
My sister
Yeah.
Sandy took me, and of course, we've been friends ever since.
Sandy, that's my girl, man.
Yes,
She is my buddy. I miss her. Here, right here.
that is her. Yeah,
I grabbed that because I wanted to show it. I want everybody to see your sister. I love
that
Sandy.
is my
She's awesome,
sister.
man.
You know,
Great.
she's one of your biggest fans. She was very surprised when you sang at my wedding.
Was she really?
Oh,
Yeah.
she was blown away that you would actually there. She sang at the wedding too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and Trissy, your lovely wife, were there, but we do have quite a bit of of uh, time.
History.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I remember recently we did that show in Chicago
Hmm.
and you came up and sang on stage with me. And I was like, yeah, man, you were hitting all the notes and everything. I was like, that's my boy right there, man.
Well, first of all, give me a little more notice next time.
Oh, man.
Rey Parra is a high tenor, and I used to be a high tenor when I was singing hard rock and heavy metal for a while, but I
Yeah.
just don't sing that way anymore. And, I always preface that I can still sing like that, but I would need about 6 months
Yeah.
of warming up and
I
trying to get those notes again. I don't hit those notes as high anymore.
yeah, I have the video of you when you auditioned for American Idol.
Like a virgin, touched for the very first time.
Me. Well, thank you. And I guess you're Randy Jackson. Is that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing? Ah, okay, yeah. Well, no, that's not a
you
song
know,
I would use for that, but yeah,
I like playing these little video things.
I love those. I love those.
Oh,
Ray,
man.
I feel so privileged for you to have me on your podcast because, my goodness, you have had some of the biggest music names. And sincerely, they feel so comfortable with you. And of course, even though you have never really, push your fame or your success on people.
Mm.
People can really feel, your love for Christ and your love for the church, and
Yeah.
your love for rock and roll. Because
Oh
man, do
yeah.
you like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I sure do, man. And it's, you know what? So that's that brings me to this. Almost everybody who has been on my podcast, they always say, I feel so at ease. I feel like we're just hanging out on the couch in your living room, just having a conversation. And that's why I love what I do with this, because I don't want it to be like a high tension. Oh, no, I asked you this. Why are you answering that? Or, I'm not going to ask you all the same, and I say this every time. It sounds redundant, but that's what it is, man. It's just we're just hanging out having a conversation. So
Mm.
whether it's Todd LaTorre or Danny Martinez, it's the same to me, bro. It's the same.
Well,
We're all
thank
just
you.
people, man.
But, it's not the same between me and Brian Duncan, though. It's like
Oh well, yeah, Brian Duncan, man.
that's a
Well,
that's another level. And
yeah,
I loved the fact that you were playing, "Need Your Love Again," and he just couldn't
yeah.
hear it.
Oh yeah.
He's so much older now
Oh
that
yeah, bro.
he cannot hear the higher frequencies.
Right.
Certainly not through the computer. But anyway,
Yeah. What's
uh,
funny is when I asked him if I could get him on the show, he said yeah, and he fought me for a while. We'd set a date, and then he'd forget it, and then he'd be like, "When was that?" I'd be like, "Hey Brian, it's
today
tomorrow, 2 o'clock in the afternoon."
it's
He's like,
now.
"Oh, so that's like right now for me." I'm like, "Don't you write this down?" He goes, "Ray, I'm lucky I even still know how to write. I remember how to write."
Yeah.
I also had John Fisher, the guitar player for the band Heart.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Ooh, Barracuda. And
Yeah.
dude, John lo sabe, so he forgets everything, man. Every time we'd schedule it, I'd call him. All right, you ready for this afternoon? I can't do it. I forgot all about it. So we'd set up another one, and I'd hit him up the day before. Oh, you got Are we going to do this tomorrow or what? When is that? That was tomorrow? Oh man, so I just said, you know what, Lord, if you want me to have him on, I will. If not, it's all good, man. I got Danny Martinez.
Yeah,
Come
right.
on.
He's
Come
willing.
on.
He's willing to do that. One of the things that's been really great about you is also that you are a performer. You are a great singer, in my opinion. One of the if not the best singer in
Mm.
Christian rock that I've ever met, that I've ever experienced. I've had the privilege of singing with you live, in the '90s when you sang
Yeah.
with my Christian Spanish heavy metal band, then Alegoria. And
Alegoria.
and man, did you rock that place? It was just amazing. And of course, you have an onstage persona. You have this charisma, but that's not what drives you as a person. And this is why people feel really comfortable with you.
Mm.
I watched part of your Oz Fox, Osvaldo Martinez
Yeah, that's right.
interview,
Oh
and
yeah.
he felt really safe talking about his really difficult experience.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's really wonderful. And of course, you have played some of the biggest shows with these folks. I remember being backstage on the Tourniquet concert with you,
Hmm.
and you and I were warming up our voices together,
Yeah.
and I was trying to get the rest of the band. Steve wouldn't go for it, one of your players, and we're doing this, and I just remember, you're opening up for Tourniquet. This is when Ted Kirkpatrick was at his height, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but you go on, and you know that you're Rey Parra, you're a child of God.
That's
You
right.
you know you sing with Sacred Warrior, and this just happens to be your platform for ministry.
Yeah,
And
man.
yeah, and I think, and the other thing that I've always appreciated about you has been that you always have Tracy with you.
That's my girl, man. That's my girl.
Well, not only is she your girl, but rock and roll and this, when
Yeah.
you're a charismatic front man,
Mhm.
there are there's temptations, and your policy of not traveling alone has been really really refreshing and really good, because you're not misbehaving anywhere.
Yeah. I had this one girl. She
I feel your breath upon my face.
Ray, I'm hoping to show this in Latin America, so let's not show a lot of those things, okay?
I
uh
can edit that out.
yeah. Well, the thing is, I do want to I do want to interview you in Spanish, because First of all, some people don't know that you speak Spanish fluently.
Oh
The
wow.
other thing is, that I my hope to go to Guatemala and have you come and hopefully have Sacred Warrior come. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just a dream that I would love to have happen before I finish my time in Chicago.
Yeah, dude, it would be incredible. I would love to do it, man.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about that, why don't you tell for our listeners who don't know who you are, but
Hmm.
don't know what you do,
Oh, that's most of
what
your
are
listeners.
yeah. Well, there's some that. I mean, there's me and there's
There's
Bruce
Chrissy.
and
There's
Tristy,
Tony.
see, and Tony Velasquez. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, Danny, and some of the successes you've had in music.
Well, I started out in the Latina Pentecostal church in Chicago. My sister and I used to lead worship for events. Yeye Avila, who is one of our, it was the Billy Graham of Latin America in the 80s and
Mhm.
90s. We had the chance to lead worship for one of his events at Humboldt Park.
Oh
So
wow.
from there, it just kind of launched a time of wanting to be in a hard rock band. I immigrated to the States in 1981, and what was big in Guatemala at the time was Kiss and Donna Summer and the Bee Gees. So that was my music.
Wow, it's like
You know?
both spectrums.
Well, remember, there was no internet at the time, believe it or not, kids.
All
There was
right,
no
yeah.
internet. There was no social media. So, we heard whatever they put in the radio, right? Or whatever they put on the
Right.
TV. So when I came to the States, 81 was the year of the Scorpions.
Mhm.
It was the year of Rat. It was the year of, all of the, and of course, Queensryche would come up later on, who was very influential to you and I.
Mhm.
And so I got into hard rock, and I wanted to be, the Spanish hard rock, because a lot of the hard rock in Spanish was just very mellow rock. There was nothing hard about it, and they
Mhm.
would call that heavy metal even, which used to drive me insane.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did the first setup of Alegoria was with a really wonderful, a very popular guitar player in Chicago called Mickey Melendez.
Mm.
And yeah, we did some initial touring there, but we went our separate ways. And then my boys Eric Gulbranson, who and
Mhm.
and Henry Lumbrera, who these killer guitar players, which were total opposite. One was Joe Satriani type, the other one was King Ransom type. It was
Oh,
just
yeah.
they were really just amazing, and they used to complement each other so well. And we had some great success. We had a top 10 with a song called Sacrificio, which is still playing in Latin America. And in all of this music, by the way, if you look my name up, Danny Martinez Alegoria, you can find that on Spotify and Apple Music and all the music platforms. So having had some success, we had a chance to play in a lot of the United States, not as much as you did here in the United States,
Yeah.
but we did go, to Latin America quite a bit. We had a
Mhm.
chance to play in Europe, and we even got to Africa. We got to Tanzania, and
Wow.
yeah, we had some great success. But at that time, I fell in love, and I wanted to get married, so kind of left that for a little bit, and then went into business after that. But God wanted to reach me for ministry, and then I became a pastor in
Mhm.
2001. But the music bug has never left me. I've always done, so the music that I'm currently doing now is, believe it or not, Latin music,
I
mainly salsa and some
mhm.
Latin worship.
I've been listening to like Colores and to I got this little clip right here. It's 2 seconds long and I love this. I love that. Sing.
Well, in
But you were
Spanish,
saying C.
you do a lot, hey, or,
Yeah.
or oh,
Mhm.
what you would go, ah,
But I was listening to those 2 songs. Those you got hundreds of thousands of views on those. I'm like, what's up with
Latin
that?
America has been really good to me in that
Mhm.
sense. Some of them remembered me from the days of Alegoria, but
Wow.
I think it was a phenomenon first because it seemed like the heavy metal guy is like Rey Parra coming out with a Tito Puente album.
Oh, and I love
It's like,
Tito Puente.
oh,
That's yeah.
well, Tito Puente was amazing, and so is his
Yeah.
son Tito Jr.
Yeah.
but they would not expect you to do that. You continue to sing some really good. Actually, your music has gotten even more. I don't know if I call it smart, but more precise and
Hmm.
and stronger. Anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, Latin America has been really good. So Colores was the first song that I came in. It's a song about one of my pastors. So my current job is I supervise and walk with pastors in the Chicagoland area for the
Hmm.
Evangelical Covenant Church. And I was talking to one of the pastors, and he was so disappointed at his leadership. They had let him down quite a bit.
Wow.
Then I basically tell him, cuando la gente te enseña sus colores, créeles.
See.
And it's a Maya Angelou, it's a Maya Angelou saying, when people show you who they are, believe
Hmm.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he goes, man, that
They're
could be a
true
song.
colors for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I go, oh, it could be a song. I'll check it out. And I went to the studio that day, gave him an A minor, nothing to do with Kendrick Lamar. And cuando la gente te enseña sus colores, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, that sounds like something. So I recorded the ghost track as we do. A
Yeah.
ghost track is just basically, a click with
Yeah.
timing so that, you can put the chords and you can put, whatever lyrics you're putting on, just so that you can have a guide, right? We call that the
Right.
ghost track.
Right.
Do they still call that the ghost track, Ray?
Yeah.
Okay.
Scratch track or
Scratch
whatever.
track. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still use very old, old things.
Well, look at your age, bro. I mean, you're what,
Yeah. Well, I'm
25
trying to be
now
more
or what?
like you, so. But the
Whoa.
thing is, the
Oye,
thing is,
papi, ya estoy viejito, man.
so,
You don't want to be like me.
well, we're heading the same direction, my brother.
I hear you,
And
man.
but the song came out really well, and the my producer is Lázaro Lee, who is a Cuban American who specializes in Latin music,
Mhm.
and he just set up the whole song, and it was just amazing. So
So that
that
was
was really
one
good.
of the things I was going to ask you is, are you producing it all, or you had somebody? And then also, you also answered another question, which was your style is this like salsa, merengue ish.
It's Cuban Afro Latin music,
Yes,
which
yes,
is
yes.
very, very specific. You
Yeah,
have
correct.
you have
Yeah. The,
Puerto Rican salsa, and of course you have Colombian salsa, and it kind of like mashes together. But Cuban, Lazaro is an expert on that kind of music.
right, right. It's like the Cuban African Cuban All Stars.
Yeah, yeah, like
Nino Puente, not Tito, but Nino, I think it's his name, Nino.
well,
Um,
Celia Cruz is from
Celia
Cuba,
Cruz, yeah, dude,
even though she
yeah,
used a little bit. So I don't know a lot about salsa. I knew who Mark Anthony was, but I didn't know
right.
a lot about salsa.
You mean
And
let me correct you on. You didn't know who Mark Anthony was. You knew who J Lo's husband was. Is what you meant to say,
no,
right?
no, no. This is the 80s, bro, when he came
Oh
over.
yeah,
So, well, maybe 90s. Hasta que te
yeah.
conocí, which I didn't know was a Juan Gabriel song, who
Oh
is this
wow,
Mexican all-star. So anyway,
wow,
all
yeah,
of that
yeah.
to say is that then Te Deum came, and this
Hmm.
Te Deum is such a sweet, flowing song, and that Te Deum
What
is
does that mean?
it's a Latin, not a Latino, but a Latin expression that says to God, to God be the glory, really.
Oh, yeah.
And people have really had a hard time with that. I should have not
Wow,
named that, but I did. So yeah,
wow, dude.
Te
You want to hear
Deum means
something?
to God is the glory. It's such a sweet song, Ray.
It
It's such
is.
a
I love it.
beautiful,
I
sweet. It
yesterday.
flows well, and it really shows
Yeah,
God's
yesterday
faithful.
I played it 3 times, and when I air this, I'm gonna have it on there. I'll put the link on there because I loved it. I loved both of those Colores and everything. But I just want to tell you something really funny is, um, recently, I've gone through what we call a writing block where you just really
Yeah,
struggle
yeah,
with
yeah.
writing, you know. And then we have a song warrior that we're working on right now. It's called Unstoppable Kingdom. And I just got really inspired and I started writing. I wrote all the lyrics like in 2 weeks, you know. Um, Sometimes you can do a song in a day, sometimes but it
Takes
took
time.
a couple of weeks, little notes here, little notes there. I have this little booklet right here that my boy Dave Cruz gave me. I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah. When words fail, music speaks. Is
Yeah.
that the
Yeah. All it is, it's just a bunch of blank pages and you just write down your ideas and stuff on here, you know? And I just keep it right here on my desk. I got been inspired to write. And then last night I told my wife, There's an old church hymn that I haven't heard it in years. I don't know sé lo que pasó. I don't even know how it came into pass, but I'm laying in bed at 5 o'clock this morning. I got up and I just started praying. And as I fell back asleep, because you always do, right? I felt like I was asleep, but instead of saying a bunch of words, praying a bunch of things, I just kept saying over and over and over in my head. And here's where that old song comes in. Let God arise, let his enemies be scattered. Remember that song? Let
Sure.
God arise, his enemy. I haven't heard that song in a bazillion years, but all night I wasn't hearing the song, but I was just saying that over and over. Let God arise, let his enemies be scattered. Let God arise. And I don't know why, but other than I'm feeling like it might be an inspiration to write a song, not call it that, and maybe not even say that, but about that. You know what I'm saying? So it was just that was an inspiration for me, which leads me to my next question for you. When you're writing your stuff, what are your inspirations? Is it stuff that you deal with every day, or something you read, or what happens? How do you get your inspiration?
I've written songs fully in one day. I've written songs that take me a year, like a song in my Colores album. It's called
Yeah.
Home. It
Hmm.
was such a difficult song to write because it talked about loss, and the whole song doesn't go anywhere. It's a
Oh
very
wow.
steady mellow song. And my producer was just going out of his mind. He's like, it's got to go somewhere, send it
Right.
up, send it high, sing it a little high. And I'm like, no,
Oh, no
the song is
climax in the
supposed
song.
to,
Right.
no,
Right.
there's no
Right.
climax at all.
Oh
And
wow.
and he goes, I don't like that. And I'm like, it's a song
Yeah.
that is meant to be numb, and it's
Oh
okay
wow.
just not feel anything sometimes. But
Wow.
I
For a
usually,
producer to say that, that's really intelligent.
yeah,
That's really
sure.
cool. Yeah.
Well, and Lazaro and I co-produce everything. Though he has very strong opinions. He's Cuban.
Oh yeah. Of course.
So
Oye,
the way
papi,
that I
mira,
write,
lo que yo sé lo que estoy hablando, tú nomás tienes que hacer lo que yo te digo, porque tú sabes, yo soy profesional. Oh, I know.
yes, yeah. Well, you know him then.
Yeah, I think I do. I think I worked with him.
Yeah. So part of my writing thing is I usually come up with a hook or a melody,
Right.
and I can sit down in the piano and just do a D minor, and just go, okay, something can go there. Sometimes it's a beat, sometimes it's a rhythm, but what I do, I don't do that in a piece of paper like you do. I do
Right.
that in the memos in the iPhone. I just record it,
Oh.
dun, 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 and then just
Oh,
remember,
yeah.
and then go back to it and go, well, this makes no sense whatsoever. It sounds so much different in my mind.
It
Uh,
was funny, you probably listened to it going, "God, that
oh
sounds
no.
terrible."
Well, you just don't know, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But sometimes it's just a hook. I know that I like to get the music done first. So when I do a ghost track, I don't usually
Mhm.
have lyrics.
Right.
Everything is about love, 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 and I love you, and I love you. And I go, I love you, God, just to,
Yeah.
make sure, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Hey, by the way, do you love me?
so one of the things is recording the melodies and recording some progressions. You don't have to put in bridges or anything like that, but
Right,
just
right.
getting the main, and then I work at the song. I use
Mhm.
the Psalms. I have a song 139. I have Psalm 51. I have a couple of psalms that I've arranged that way. So it works differently, but lately that's what I've been doing. I don't
Mm.
have I'm not like you that has a discipline of writing every week. I just, as I go and as I feel it, I record it because I work very long hours, and yeah, don't really have a lot of time to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so how has your Spanish heritage influenced your artistic style? What I mean by that is,
Mhm.
so you know what I'm saying. How has that
Yeah, yeah.
influenced your artistic style?
Well, I wanted to I wanted to be this heavy metal singer, right? So I have an accent when I sing, and people, remember. And
Ugh.
actually, if you listen to the song "Home,"
Yeah.
there's something that I say there that you can tell you can tell I'm Latino. The Antonio Banderas in me comes out.
Oh yeah. It's this guy right
It
here.
is.
Ah! I
Well, that would
love
be the
it,
Pavarotti in me, or
bro. I
the
love
Plácido
that.
Domingo.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's a killer picture, bro. So is this one right here. You're like, hey, estoy cantando. Shh. Hey, everybody be quiet. I'm trying to sing over here, okay?
Mm.
Hey, I'm talking. Shh.
Well, part of I forgot what we were talking about.
uh,
Oh, the influence, yeah. So, my kids, specifically my kids, which who have been my biggest collaborators in church, they helped me plant
yeah.
2 churches, and they've helped me through leading worship in Spanish and in English, even though they don't
Yeah,
speak
they're
a lot of
musicians,
Spanish.
right? Yeah.
They're all musicians. They say, please don't sing in English. Please sing in Spanish. Your thing is in
Really?
Spanish, even if it's hard rock,
Wow.
do it in
Wow.
Spanish. And because I grew up in the States, I tend to write more in English.
Right.
But I'm the discipline I am using, the little of it that I have, I'm trying to do in Spanish. And
Mhm.
Spanish is such a beautiful language. It's you know you can say things that you really cannot say in English, even though English
Oh
is
yeah.
a nice language itself. Spanish has a lot of symbolism and a lot of double significance that really it makes it very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then especially too if you have that voice like Antonio. I'm Antonio Banderas.
It
Y voy a cantar
is.
canciones latinas, mi amor,
I want to wear
corazón.
the mask
I
one
want
last time.
yeah, one last time.
No, one last time. Time.
That's right, one last time. That dude's got like the best voice, doesn't he?
He does have a
I,
great voice.
I joke
So
around a
does
lot of
Benicio
times
del
with people.
Toro.
What's that?
Benicio del Toro does too.
Oh, I'm not sure I know
Is
that
this
guy.
Puerto Rican? He's
Oh, Benicio. No, I know
Benicio.
who it is. I know it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I know for you it would be Benicio del Toro.
His name,
Benicio
his
del
name,
Toro.
his name is Benicio Bantora from right for me.
Del Toro. Del Toro. Yeah.
The Dale Terrier.
Del Toro.
So how? So when you were doing the heavy metal in Latin America, that was received very well.
It was because Latin America at that time was like 10 years,
Behind.
behind.
Yeah.
So in the 90s, when Nirvana kind of killed our music here,
Hmm.
and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, all of that genre of music,
Yeah.
it started killing a lot of our records. Guatemala was like thriving, so they would listen to Secret Warrior. Your music sounded quite a bit in Guatemala. White Cross, who you've toured with, um, Guardian, you've played also with, and
Hmm.
so all of these people, Tourniquet. I mean, these people loved it. If
Yeah.
I said we're gonna do a tour with Sacred Warrior, White Cross, and of course I would be there, to support you guys. Opening act,
Yeah.
Alegoria. Uh, we could fill up a huge place because they love 80s hard rock. One of the
Yeah.
biggest bands in Guatemala was Vox Dei, La Voz de Dios, the voice of God. And they had quite a bit of success, and they had a reunion in El Salvador, and they filled up the place, man. They just
Hmm.
love that 80s 90s rock.
Hmm.
And so yeah, Latin America has a lot of love for that. And of course they also raise bands that are not quite heavy metal like Mana or Enanito,
Right. 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 Right.
which I don't think are heavy metal at all, but
No, but they're
don't have a
great.
lot of
Mana's a great band. Yeah.
Mana is a good band. Yeah.
Yeah. So so part of that with the whole culture thing and stuff. So you're saying that Latin America was 10 years behind. How do you
Mhm.
think? Like, let's fast forward to today. Um. Oh, your mic got muted for some reason.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward to today.
Yeah.
The people in Latin America now, you got bands coming out now that are a lot more rapcore or heavy and just really like two steps up from heavy metal. Are they accepting that? Are you finding that Mexico being behind times is now starting to catch up and being more or not Mexico, but Latin America being more acceptive of all these new genres of music that are coming out?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. The artist that has done the best job in Latin America, even here in the States, is Bad Bunny.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, bro. Yeah.
so he's the most streamed artist in history,
Yeah.
beyond the Beatles and whoever else you wait. So it gives you a little notion of the power of you know the dollar or money of Latin America
The
and
almighty dollar, yeah.
the influence that Latin America and its buying power. That's what I meant to say.
Hmm.
Latin America has. It's really untapped. There's a few Latin artists that have done really well in Latin America, but they still do well in the United States. Kind of like
Right.
Ricardo Arjona, eh, Alejandro Sanz, Luis Miguel, who everybody knows, who he's the new Juan Gabriel of today.
Hmm.
But the kind of heavy metal is not a big genre in Latin America anymore.
Right.
And I guess that's one of the reasons why I kind of fused into doing more salsa. Salsa has always been big, but it's not bigger than it ever was.
Right. Sure. Sure.
Yeah,
And ironically enough, my wife, she does these little paint parties.
yeah, uh-huh.
She goes to, and while they're doing that, I'm DJing, and I'm not playing rock and roll or heavy metal. I'm playing all salsa stuff, merengue, um, a lot of hip hop and R&B, and
Mm,
because I'm going to use Pitbull for an example.
yeah,
You put on a Pitbull song, I know my rent was gone, and it just gets you, man. And so that's part of creating the atmosphere. So we get all different kinds of people that come, but I always lean towards that kind of music because it creates a movement. So that being said, with your music, the stuff that you're bringing to Latin Americans and stuff, is it creating like a move, or are people just kind of sitting there listening to it? Or
mm,
because I'm not in that, and probably most of the people watching, they don't know what a Latin American concert's like.
yeah.
Are they just all there sitting there going, "Oh, that was nice," like the opera, or are they really jiving and getting into it and stuff?
Well, it's a hard ask to represent all of Latin America because we're 22 different countries and we have
Right.
our own personality, right?
Let's say your
But
fans, for example.
but for example, I think that the fact that I have all of these views on YouTube for Te Deum and Colores, and I did a hard rock song called No Tengo Temor. It's a love note to Chicago because everything is done in Chicago at night, so you can see the skyline. It's a beautiful video,
Mhm.
and those songs have received a lot of love because they're kind of like different. Not a lot of people are doing Christian music in that way. A lot of Christian music, is worship music.
Right.
We have a band that is kind of like our hill song called Miel San Marcos.
Hmm.
They're from Guatemala, and they are simply amazing people. I mean, they're just top notch, great, but it's
Wow.
worship music. So if you go to a worship concert, it'll be full blown. The
Full
church
on praise
involved.
and worship. Yeah.
It depends on the other kind of music, what they go to. If you go to a secular concert, you may have very different people, right?
Right. Right.
Power of alcohol as well.
Yeah, oh
Uh,
yeah. Oof.
but the sad reality for Latin America is we don't really support a lot of our Christian artists. Uh,
Really.
this is why there's not a huge market for Latino artists. We have some,
Hmm.
but Latin America supports people like Shakira and Juanes and even Carlos Santana and stuff.
Hmm.
But the church doesn't really spend a lot of money on music, and I think even in the United States, there's not a huge market for Christian music.
Right.
We're a
Right.
specialty. We're kind of like a niche, and I think that's sad because it doesn't allow people to really you know dedicate themselves to just doing that. We should
Right.
we should or going concerts. I was disappointed. I went to a major band's concert. I won't tell you who they are, but there was 300 people in the whole church, and this
Wow.
is this is a big band. There
Wow.
were a couple of big bands,
And
and,
only 300 people.
and only 300 people were there.
What do you think
And
contributes to that?
well, it's the I well, first of all, there are some people that haven't really modified their style, or
Hmm.
but it's a lack of promotion as well. But just Christians, um, yeah, we don't really have we do not support either our local or our national bands unless you have a huge hit and a huge success. And not all of us can do that. Not all of us can have a huge top
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
hit that everybody knows.
Well, you do. Come on.
No, that was not back in the 90s, my brother. 94.
Wasn't this your song right here too?
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four.
Yeah, but puedo solo contar a cuatro. I mean, I did this.
Well, I had transposed it to English.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, that's cool, man. You know, I've always wondered what it was like with the Latin America thing, and
Because
we get
I
asked
think it's crazy.
to play Exodo Fest in Mexico City every year.
Really?
Every year they're like, we will let you guys headline, but because of some logistics, we haven't done it yet. It's a great show. I know POD's played there and a bunch of bands and stuff, but
Yeah.
just a couple little things that are keeping us from doing it. But we may do it eventually. You know, I'm thinking pretty soon.
Well, I heard that the only way that you would do that is if you had Alegoria open for you.
That
But
was it.
if that was the case, I think, we would hook you up.
Okay, well, that was it. I've been waiting to hear back from them. If you have their
Mexico
contact, man,
City
let me know.
I have played Mexico City. It's absolutely insane.
That's what I hear, man.
Zócalo. Do you know what that is? El Zócalo?
Yeah.
The central. Oh man, there was thousands of people there. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
bro.
And of course, there has to be some targeted marketing to that so that people can hear some of your music before you get there. And all
Right.
that costs money and it takes time and effort. You know how
Yeah.
it works. Yeah.
Well, this promoter, he people are begging for us to come there. They know who we are.
Yeah.
They're begging. Pero lo que pasa que they're so they don't charge people to come to this venue, to the shows.
Mm.
I've seen videos. There's thousands of people there.
Yeah.
The stage is huge. You know,
Mhm.
I've seen a live video of POD there. Blew my mind.
Yeah.
But so what they require is you have to get there. Like we would all have to fly ourselves there. They'll
Right.
provide all the transportation, the food, and everything once
Copy.
we're there. But we would have to fly there. And that's the thing that we're kind of just trying to work through because like we have some Europe shows coming up. They fly us there. They don't pay a lot, but you make a little bit on a lot of shows.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So it kind of all balances out. But I guess it's with everything else. Unless you're Skillet or Maiden or Metallica or something, you're not going to get the big dollars to come out. It's unfortunately a lot of times they're like it's ministry, brothers. I'm like, yeah, I know it's ministry, but
Well, Latin America,
yeah,
I shouldn't say that, but it's very typical to do that in Latin America.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
yeah,
realistically, this guy's not really. We know it's a big ministry thing, and we get that. He doesn't even have to say it because we know it is. But it's just trying to work through logistics. I would love to play there this year.
mhm.
Again, it's a great show, so we'll see what happens.
Well, remember you have a backup singer that they can do things with you. So
That's right, bro. I'll stand up there and I'll be like, and you can be in the back singing.
what evil lurks in the minds of men? Yeah.
There you go.
I
Oh
love,
yeah.
I love that. But you know what I would love to do with you, and everybody now is going to turn off this podcast because then we're going into intricate things. But doing the double voice, you do the high range, and I do the lower one. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like Jeff Tate on drugs,
There you go. Dude, we should write. So my wife always said, baby, she's like, you should write a couple songs in Spanish.
You should.
And I'm like, oye, mira, pero yo no tengo la gente. Sacred Warrior no va a escribir Spanish music. I don't need a band. And hook me up. Let's write a couple songs in Spanish, bro.
Well, I would love to hook you in on some of the things that I have, and I think I'm grateful that you would consider that. I think that would be great.
Here's the biggest thing for me, though.
What's that?
Say what you were going to say, then I'll tell you.
Well, I have told some people that you and I are friends, and they wouldn't believe me.
Really?
Yeah, they're like,
we're more than
"No
friends.
way.
We're brothers, bro.
How can you be Rey Parra's friend?" I'm like, he sang at my wedding.
Yeah.
Sure, he did.
Yeah.
But it's just something like that.
Here's what I would need if you and I would write a couple songs together. So I'm going to tell you, how I told you I've been listening to Colores and Te Diem a lot. I can't get the phrasing, bro. I'm soy 100% Mexicano. But I've been hanging out with too many Cubans over here. Yo estoy hablando con los cubanos, tú sabes.
Yeah. Well, that's one of
But
the Florida's perils. Yes.
yeah, so that being said, the phrasing is really, it's weird for me, man. It's hard. When you're writing music in English, you're like, okay, I know here's a pre-chorus. I know where I'm going to roll into it. I know the midsection of that. I know how it's going to roll out that. But with Spanish, it's completely different. I just don't even know how to do
Well,
it.
I think if we partner into it, I think we can do that together. That's not
Mhm.
a problem. Um, you have great pronunciation in Spanish, so you shouldn't have a problem with pronunciation.
No, claro, claro.
Yeah. So I think we can do that.
Cool,
I
man.
actually I will send you something that we can start working on. Maybe even get Rey Parra to sing salsa.
Dude,
Do
I would
your
love that.
debut.
I
Do
would
your debut.
love that. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Not rock and roll, not heavy metal.
Mm.
Something like salsa
Well,
or
I want to do
something.
all of it. I want to do all
Yeah.
of it.
Because
Salsa
see,
and
you had your breakout moment in Latin America.
uh-huh. We
My
we need
turn.
yours
Let's
now.
go.
Yes, yes, yes. And if I have anything to say about that, I'd love to have to be a part of that.
Bro,
You
that
know, the
would
other
be
person that people don't believe is my friend and someone that I care a lot about is Glenn Kaiser. I'm
really?
actually Glenn Kaiser's pastor, or bishop, you would say, because
Wow.
he's one of the pastors in the conference that I supervise.
Yeah.
So I see
When
him
I
very
took
often, and man, to meet with Glenn is to listen to, you know, rock and church history for 3 hours.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's really amazing. Next time you're here, we should definitely make that happen so we can just,
Yeah.
and we need to record that because people won't believe how, just how much he has to offer. He's an
Well,
incredible.
I'm getting ready to have him on my podcast.
Yeah, I know. I hooked
Yeah,
you
I
up
was
with
telling
this.
you that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe you could chime in for all your people that don't believe you. You don't have to say, "Hey, mira, you believe me now? Oye, carajo, mira, yo este Glenn Kaiser, yo soy Danny Martinez." You know what I'm saying. But it
Sure.
would be funny. But
It would
yeah,
be
I can't
fun.
wait to get that guy in here. I was going to ask you, but we kind of already talked about it. But outside of me, if you ever could collaborate with another artist, who would it be?
Well, in his prime, it would have been Jeff Tate, right? But Jeff
Yeah.
Tate, his voice has gone down quite a bit.
No, it hasn't. He
With
can still sing. Don't worry about that.
oh, he can still sing. He
Yeah.
can still sing better than me for sure.
Yeah.
But he's yeah. Yeah. We as we get older, our voice. We're not all the lead singer of Earth, Wind, and Fire. That guy sounds better today than ever. And he's 70 years old. You know.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there's many people that I wish I could collaborate with something. If it was salsa in the and I had access to anyone, it would be Mark Anthony. I actually dreamt one of my best dreams ever that I dreamt about was that I was at the Grammys and that I was singing Colores with my band. And then I go, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Anthony. He came
Oh
out.
wow.
He sang with us, and that
That's
that would have been
crazy.
something. But I got to tell you something, Ray. Latin
Yeah.
America is also very traditional and very fundamental list. And if I did that, I would be. So I got to tell you a story really quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 years ago, I did a show. I do a show every year. It's a benefit to an orphanage that I sponsor called Casa Guatemala. We have
Mm.
a few hundred kids that we house and we school, and we help out because some of them are orphans and some of them are the poorest of the poor. And so I do a show, and anything I collect and all of the music, my music, goes to support that. By the way,
Oh wow. Praise God.
and so in a show, I've always done a parody of something. So several years ago, I did a parody of Drake when I was back in San Diego, and the song was Hotline Bling. And
Oh
instead
my
of saying
gosh.
Hotline Bling, I sang, you used to come to church on Sunday just so you can hear me preach. Come to church on Sunday. Now you don't get to hear me teach. Did you find another church? That can only mean one thing. And people just had a blast. They
Oh,
laughed
that's
and oh my God,
great.
it's so cute, right? Okay, so 2 years ago here in Chicago at North Park University, I'm doing a show and then I decide to do a Bad Bunny parody.
Mm. Hey,
In
you're.
Spanish.
I gotta correct you. You keep saying Bed Bunny. It's Bad Bunny.
No, I like Bad Bunny instead because it's with a Spanish accent.
Oh,
Bad Bunny, yeah. So Bad
okay.
Bunny, right?
Yeah.
I do a parody of this guy, and the TikTok that I recorded from that went ballistic.
You told me you got like several million views, right?
Millions of views. There was almost 100 million views. My personal was like 3 million, but there were millions of reproductions. But you know, God opened that door, and I was crucified, thoroughly crucified in Latin America,
Oh my
because if I was a
God.
pastor, I would never use something sacred. I mean, it was you know, in the States we're not that sanctimonious.
Right.
But in Latin America, if you're a Christian, I mean, you know, you would be very, very much, yeah. You cannot have those freedoms there. So
Wow.
because of that, I was able to go on Telemundo, in Univision, in 5 international shows to tell my side of the story, and because of that, some money was donated to Casa Guatemala. So
Wow.
God used it for his glory. But
Yeah.
you know, it showed me that the church in Latin America doesn't have a sense of humor the way we do here, or a
Right.
different sense of humor, and they
Right.
did not
Which is why you
appreciate
told me
that.
not to pop a lot of these things in, right?
Well, yes, especially if we're going to show it in Latin America, which where we want to do that, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
there's not there, yeah, everything has to be holy, and everything has to, and I'm not, and you know, I, like you, have a sense of humor,
Hmm.
you know, so anything we do is going to have a sense of humor, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so they're okay with that, but they just care very much about things being, yeah,
I
things
gotcha.
being yeah. So with Bad Bunny, you know, I was asked, did he call you? Did he, you know, did he see it? I'm like, I don't know if he saw it, and if he called me, I would tell him that Jesus loves him, and you know, he has a plan for
Yeah.
his life, and he never
That's
did call me,
great.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it was a
You
wonderful
know he
experience.
saw it though.
I
You
think
know
he
he
saw it.
saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
with those millions of views, he had to have
How
seen it. But
how many millions of views was it? Like 12
well,
million or something like
personally,
that?
if you go on my on my, what's it called, TikTok, it's probably
Yeah.
about 3 million. But it was reproduced. It was a total of 100 million views. Yeah,
Did you make any
yeah.
money on that?
If you go, no, I did not have it monetized, unfortunately. But if you go on Danny Pastor Bad Bunny,
Yeah.
you will find from Latin America, from here, interviews, people making fun of it. You know, the sound. You know how you can use the sound for something else. People
Yeah,
using
yeah.
that.
Oh
So you
my
know,
gosh.
it's great, and you know, but yeah. So I'm having a show in August for the same thing, and I, you know, do you know who Peso Pluma is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, Peso Pluma is a huge norteño artist from Mexico.
Is he
So
related to Peseta Lápiz?
I don't think so. I don't
¿Quiere
know.
peso pluma, peseta
Yeah.
lápiz?
I get that though, but I don't think so. So, so what I've been saying in the churches is like last time I did a parody of Bad Bunny. Now I'm gonna do a Peso Pluma one, which is
There
supposed
you
to be.
go.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Oh man, you should
Yeah,
do it. You know what?
yeah.
It's like this. It's like I get people to say, dude, love your show, except just too much laughing and all the little things you throw in. I'm like, you know what? Then this show's not for you, bro. Because
Yeah,
ev-
yeah.
everybody else loves. Dude, I was blown away by this. I had another podcaster recently tell me that in his opinion, I have the best Christian podcast around. I was
Hmm,
blown away by that. I was like,
absolutely.
wow, man. It's like I I don't get it. I mean, some of my views will get a million, 1,000 plus or whatever. Some only get 90 or 100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But with hitting that 40,000 views last week, that means people are watching it, you know?
people are watching.
And
Yeah.
and here's what I was going to ask you. On your stuff, you got like you just hit, I think it was last year, 100,000 subscribers. I remember you holding that
Yeah,
little trophy.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, mira, bro. Help a brother out, man. How do we do that? What, I got to write you a check right now?
No, you don't have to.
$12?
No, No, it's a yeah. I think it's just being consistent. The way that you
Yeah.
happen, you're
Yeah.
doing that every week now, and
Yep.
so I think it's just a matter of making sure that you always include your link, making sure that you always promote it somehow,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of things that I would like to send your way so that you can
Yeah. We'll talk
develop
about
as
it.
well. Yeah, it's Ray. I'll agree with your podcaster. This is a really good format. It allows people to see people behind the scenes.
Yes.
People have been asking about Oz Fox for a long time, and he hasn't talked to
Hmm.
anybody about that.
Exactly.
And so for him to feel like he's among friends, and he can tell you his story. I mean, a pretty traumatic story, and almost the
Yeah, man.
end of Striper. How can they
Yeah.
continue without Oz, right?
Yeah,
But
man.
I saw him in a concert last year, and I actually saw your drummer there, Tony.
Hmm.
And he did an amazing job. He was playing great.
Oh,
He
yeah. Yeah.
great player, and yeah, and Michael still sings the way he sings, and
Yeah.
yeah, everybody was awesome. Actually, I wanted to tell you too. Jeff Tate is coming here in the next couple of months to do Operation Mindcrime 2.
Yeah. He's doing that here in 3 weeks. We're going. We already got tickets.
I could not get tickets, unfortunately. It was sold out.
Really?
I saw it. Yeah.
Well, check this out. We bought our tickets 7 months ago,
Oh,
eight
really?
months ago. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know. So I
Yeah.
wish I could have seen it. I think you should be up front and singing every note with him and still show him how do you hit that, high A.
Yeah. I told him I was going to help him.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
talking with Todd Latore one day. He called me and he was telling me he's got a sore throat and he's got a show to do. I said, bro, you want me to go up and sing it for you? He's like, no. Todd is such an amazing dude. I talk a lot about him
Todd
because
is
he's such a
Todd is a
great dude, man.
great vocalist.
Yeah, he
It's
is. And
hard
he's a
to
great
like him.
dude.
It's hard to like him because he replaced Jeff Tate, but he is amazing.
Yeah, he is. He's
So I want to tell you a funny story. I was coming home from LA, and who do I see in you know in LAX?
who's that?
So, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
So I go, "Hey, Tony!" Oh my gosh, I called him the
Oh.
wrong name, and he looked a little confused, and he's like, "Hello," and I go, "Man, love your music, man." So I went to check into American Airlines, and then I go to my gate, and he was at my gate. He's waiting to come to Chicago because he wrote a musical.
Oh yeah.
And so I go, "Hey, Tony," again.
Oh.
And I go, "Man, Tony, I love Rise Against the Machine. What a great band. And I love the Matrix soundtrack." And he didn't correct me, by the way, at all.
Really?
Did not correct me. He goes, "What's your name?" And I tell him who I was. And I told him I met Chris Cornell, his previous singer. And so, we go into the plane, and I go, "Okay, take care." And I'm in the eighth row, just behind, a first class.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting with a couple, right? And I go, "Did you know that Tony Morello from Rise Against the Machine is in first class?" And they're like, "Isn't his name Tom?" And I'm like, "Oh," I go, "I've been calling him Tony the whole time."
Oh my
And they're
gosh,
like, "And
man.
it's Rage Against the Machine, not
Exactly.
Rise." And I'm like, "Oh my
Exactly.
goodness." So I'm like, "Man, I've been calling him the wrong name." And so I say to them, "Oh man, I've been calling the wrong name." He goes, "Did you see who's sitting next to him?" And I go, "Who is Beyonce's mom, Tina
Oh
Knowles?"
wow. Wow.
And I'm like, "Really? Tina Knowles takes commercial? Wow." Anyway, so as I
Yeah.
walk out of the plane in Chicago, Tina Knowles is in the wing. And I go up to her, say, "Hi, my name is Pastor Danny. Nice to meet you." And she goes, "I know." And I'm like, "You know? How do you know?" She goes, "You're the guy that called Tom Tony." So anyway,
Oh my
and
gosh.
my kids would tell you that's typical dad.
Oh my
I
gosh.
forget my own lyrics, Ray.
Bro, you know what? Um, Everybody already knows because I've said this on here before on a recent podcast. One of my floor wedges is actually a screen with the lyrics.
Well, you're in good
Metallica
company.
does it. A lot of
Oh yeah,
bands
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many songs. I mean, you've
Yeah,
written
man.
over 100 songs. How can you not?
Dude, yeah,
But you know who
exactly.
does that and would not leave his screen at all?
Who?
Klaus Main from Scorpions.
No way.
I
Klaus
saw him, and by the way,
Klaus
he's so frail.
Klaus Mine.
Well, he's German. Klaus Main. That's how you say it in German.
Oh, is
But
it?
Klaus Main in English, sure.
Oh, okay.
And he's looking at the screen the whole time behind the mic, and he won't move. I mean, he's so
Really?
frail now, and and he's singing okay, but he used to sing amazing. And man, it was great to see them. Before I would say,
Yeah.
"Great, let's go see this band before they break up." Now
Yeah.
at our age, we go like, "Let's go see before they die."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my
And that's
gosh.
sad.
Hey, so what's next for Danny Martinez, man? You got anything new in the works?
Well, I'm being the job that I have, the technical that the term is superintendent. I am being nominated for another term,
Mhm.
so I will be in Chicago for 4 more years.
I'll vote for you.
And thank you. And
Yep.
then after these 4 years, I intend to go back to San Diego to be with my kids. All my kids live there, so I would like to go
Really?
back to live with them. Yeah,
You're in Chicago by yourself?
I in Chicago. Yeah, my mother lives with me, and
Oh,
and I have a lot of family here. So I'm not lonely, but my kids, my oldest son got married, and kids are gonna come soon, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah. What happened with your wife? I don't think I ever asked you that.
Yeah, my
If you
wife
don't
and I
mind talking about it,
divorced
you
about
guys.
10 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
well.
she lives in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's
She,
cool,
she said to
man.
say hello to you.
Oh, good, man. Good. Tell her I said hi.
We're in good terms. I think
Yeah.
that things didn't work out between us, but we have 3 kids, so we need to be good examples, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, for sure. For sure.
Mhm.
It's never good for friends and family when we know you as a couple to see that happen, but we're not on the inside. We don't
Right.
know what's going
Well,
on, but
well, and
we've seen it, man.
because we have kids, we're always going to have a connection, and
Sure.
after kids come the grandkids, so it's like we're always going to be connected, see
Yeah, yeah.
together. It's always that. I have to compliment you on your song Seth. Was it Seth that I met in Chicago?
Yeah, Seth.
Yeah.
No, Dylan. That was Dylan.
Dylan, thank you. Seth is your other son.
Yeah.
um what a genuine, and I know it's genuine in the States, but I like genuine better.
Yeah, I won't
Uh,
correct you anymore.
he's a genuine, um, godly, pleasant, efficient, talented young man. I was
Yeah.
so impressed with him. I knew him as a child, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he was just like, yeah, what a lovely young man. I think that you and Tracy have done a very nice job with your kids. And yeah, I haven't seen your other kids as grown-ups, but man,
Hmm.
I was just so impressed with Dylan. I want you to know.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So many people say that. So many people. He's like the spitting image of me. We when we go to shows, like when we go to Ohio, people are like, "Hey, love that guy." He hugs he's like me, never met a stranger. Everybody's instantly your friend
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and very passionate about what he does. But on the other side of that, all my kids are like that.
Really? Oh, wow.
We are so blessed. We have a great family. All our boys, my daughter, all the same kind of people. We're people. We love people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's really an honor when we hear people say that about our kids, because it's a reflection of who Trissy and I are.
Yeah. Sure.
And we have a great relationship, great marriage,
Yeah.
and a great friendship. Which is really important to have.
My 2 boys, my oldest one is just like me, Mr. Personality, loves people, just, very
Yeah,
a go-getter.
yeah.
My youngest son, it looks just like me, but has a very different personality than me.
Oh my
He looks,
gosh.
and my daughter is a combination of her mom and I. But they're
And
all musicians too, so I love that. I love the fact that we've been able to influence them in our
yeah,
life.
so I think he tried. This is you singing right here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, espérate. No, let me find the other one. This was you.
Sing!
right? One that looks like you. This him singing it.
Wow, bro. I'm so glad you have the time to actually learn how to do that. I have no idea how to do any of that, bro. I probably would
Oh,
be doing
bro,
that too if I could.
you would. Well, you would, and that's what I love about doing. We used to. So I used to not do it. Dave would always do it in the editing process,
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
which is great. But when you do it like this,
Yeah.
you get to enjoy it live too,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
And
it
then you
creates
get the reaction.
something
Yeah.
better. The reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the live episodes I do are great, man. People
Yeah.
will get over 200, 300 comments on those sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
It's great. People love it. In fact, I got one releasing today. It's not live, but releasing Michael Drive from Barren Cross.
Really nice.
Yeah. We had what I've been
Oh,
doing is I've
cross.
asked people who do they want to see? What do they want to see? So people are asking for Barren Cross, people are asking for Danny Martinez. You know, I'm trying to put it up for everybody, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, bro. But
Well,
Danny,
Darren Cross, I mean, these bands were so influential to you.
oh
And of
gosh,
course
yeah.
they were your peers in the 80s.
Yeah.
But I got to see you, you know, perform with these folks, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, these are amazing people that
Yeah, man.
really influenced our lives.
Great bunch of guys.
Hmm. Yeah. And of course the lead singer and remember the abortion song that they
Oh
did?
yeah.
Oh, it's a powerful song. No,
Yeah.
no, that's all I can take. I don't want to
Yeah.
die. Just set me free. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
dude. Oh yeah.
it's awesome.
Michael was a great lyricist. You know, have you heard his stuff with Human Code?
I have not. I have
Which
not.
is also my band from Worldview. It's the same band. Human
Really?
Code. So it's the band, Mike Lee's
No
singing and it's
way.
Human Code, and it's the band and I'm singing
Really?
and it's Worldview. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So you share a band with him.
Yeah. You'll
That's
see when I
awesome.
talked about it on the podcast with him, I tell him, yeah, Mike's from Barren Cross and Human Code, also known as Worldview. I say that on there.
Well, you know, Ray, and I've also been, you know, heavily influenced by you, bro. Your lyrics, the song that you did about, as we spoke this morning, with
Mm.
fear written upon my face, I
I
feel like
feel
a
like a
candle
candle
standing
standing in the
in the
pouring
pouring
rain. Oh,
rain. I
yeah.
mean, that high, that low E that you struggle so much with.
Yeah, man.
I love
You
that.
told me you love me, daddy.
Yeah. Oh man.
There's a part in the chorus that it says,
Raft of my innocence.
want to silence. Then there's a
Ah,
voice in the back that says, I'll never tell. That's Trissy.
is it really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I also
So,
had my kids do that for a song I wrote called "Listen to the Cry of the World," which I
oh
wrote for
yeah.
the orphanage. And then my kids start in the beginning, "Dad, Dad, why are the little kids on TV hungry or starving or something like that?"
Yeah.
And I wanted to sing because they have food. They don't have food like you do, you know. But
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
No,
I'm
because
very proud
those
of it.
chamacos have food, but they're too picky, so they're not eating. Let them starve. No.
And we're sending their food to Africa.
There you go. Hey, any closing words for our fans or anything, bro? Anything?
Well, you know, I would love to encourage all of the people that listen to you and all of your listeners and all of my new friends because I they're my friends now too.
Yes, sir.
To support Christian music, you know, to support Sacred Warrior worldview, and you know, to listen to Alegoria or to go on Danny Martinez, and it's we live in a world where if it's popular, it's good, and that's not necessarily true. There's a lot of good things that are not popular,
Mm.
and the scripture being one of them, right?
Yeah, man.
But I would say encourage your listeners to come to concerts, to support their Christian artists. Obviously to be a part of their church and to be counted.
Yeah.
But I think that more than ever, if we're ever going to experience a revival, and we've experienced revival in our bands and the way that God
Oh,
moved
yeah.
through us, if we're going to experience a new revival, it will have to be through young people
Yeah.
and younger people that take their commitment with Christ seriously,
Yeah, man.
and living a life that is not necessarily sanctimonious, but but certainly holy, and certainly with good intentions and with good deeds, and and with Christ in the center.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure that you continue to seek God and its kingdom, and of course listen to especially Sacred Warrior. One of my favorite bands. One of my favorite
my my little buddy Coda here just came to say hello. My dog.
bands. Nice.
Hi, Cody. That Joker, he just loves when I scratch him. But then again, who doesn't, right? I mean, not, you know what I mean? Not who doesn't like
I know.
what yeah, you know what
I
I'm
know
saying.
what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Well, Danny, man, it's been a pleasure having you on here. It's been fun reminiscing and hanging out. And I really look forward to doing a couple salsa songs with you. I'm legitimately serious.
Thank you. Thank you.
You will have to train me how to do that.
Hey,
And I
hey.
think it would be great. Yeah, man.
It's not the
And
first time that we have trained each other.
I
We've
know.
done. You have taught me how to hit some of those high notes. I've taught you how to, do the lower notes.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And
Yeah,
for
man.
for us to be able to do that, man. Thank you for our friendship throughout so many years. Thank
Yeah,
you for
man.
being who you are, man. I mean, we love who you are. We love how God made you, and how you love the world, through Him.
Praise God, man. Praise God. I'm just a man, bro. Just a
Yes,
man trying to
indeed.
meet the man. You know what I mean?
Amen.
But Danny, I love you, buddy.
Thank you. I love you too, man.
And all you guys listening, man, this was Danny Martinez, like I said, longtime friend of mine, Latin artist, pastor, great man of God. Check out his music. The links will be posted on the bottom here. Support him. Listen to Allegoria, which is a Latin metal band or rock band. Nonetheless, you'll hear Danny all different styles, and just support him, man. And great dude. And if he ever comes into your town, make sure you go and check him out, man. Until then, we'll see you guys later. Danny,